everybody. Welcome to Choppin It Up with Chef Eboni. I'm Chef Eboni. And today we're making braised chicken, mashed potatoes, and broccolini. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to roast our potatoes. I have the oven preset to like 425. And these are already washed. And I'm just going to, you can either put salt on the bottom, people do that or whatever. You can just throw salt on top like I do, doesn't matter. Or you can just not salt them, especially if you're not going to use the skins, which I don't use in our mashed potatoes. Restaurants don't usually, because it like messes with the texture. Also, before we throw them in the oven, we are going to poke them with holes. What that does is releases any steam that's going to build up, because potatoes are like 75 to 85% water. So if you don't give a way for the steam to escape, they'll like explode.
Now, what type of nutrients are in potatoes?
So potatoes have a lot of vitamin C, which is really great. You need the vitamin C, and it was especially helpful for sailors, because when you're on the open sea, you're not getting much vitamin C, and it prevents scurvy. You know what scurvy is?
No, what is scurvy?
It's terrifying, actually. It's so scary, oh my god. Because, so vitamin C protects like your scar tissue and stuff. So anytime you get scurvy, like anywhere you've ever gotten a cut, will like open up and then you'll start to like bleed to death.
Oh, great.
So, oh great. So it was good for pirates. All right, so these are gonna go in the oven.
And how long do they have to stay in the oven?
So it depends kind of on the size of the potatoes.
Those are rather small, so.
Yeah, this one, I didn't like this one. So we're not gonna use this guy. It really depends on the size of the potato, actually. So now what we're going to do is we're going to prep our chicken.
So how long did you say would be a good length of time for the potatoes?
Probably like 20 to 30 minutes at least.
Okay.
I'll check them in a little bit. Okay. So this is some chicken thighs, and they're not already like cooked, but I put them in here because I made a brine. So we spoke about a brine in the first episode, and I did a quick one just because I had some chicken breast, but this one I did overnight. So I did it properly. I took some water, some salt, some bay leaves, some rosemary and stuff like that, and I brought it to a simmer and then cooled it down and then added the chicken. But I'm just gonna debone these because I don't want the bone in there. So you can use a fillet knife or a boning knife. I'm going to use a boning knife. So when you want to remove any bones from your meat, from any animal or whatever, you want to leave as much meat on it as possible. So you're going to want to angle your knife. Oh, this guy, he had a broken leg. Oh, sad. You're going to want to angle your knife and kind of like scrape against the bone so that you leave as much meat on it as possible, because that's your food cost, right? You paid for it by the pound. So and then we're going to keep the bones too, because I have an event coming up and I need to make chicken stock. And they have a lot of flavor in there. So just remove it like that. And then we're just going to I'm going to cut off some excess skin. I'm also going to save that too. We try to waste as little as possible because it's your food cost. And then also because it's like a living thing. And, you know, we kind of want to replace some kind of respect in that kind of sense, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thigh, right? The chicken thigh?
Yeah.
Okay, and why is it best to cook with a chicken thigh versus like a breast?
Well, chicken breast gets really dry very easily because there's not much fat.
Oh.
You know,
okay.
so that's why it's like usually kind of dry basically. But and the more the the more the muscle was worked,
Mm-hmm.
the more flavorful it's going to be.
And that's on a thigh, you mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
so like,
okay.
you know, the breast doesn't do really much.
Right.
So like the legs are always moving and holding it up. So they're
Never-
gonna be
never knew that.
tougher. They're gonna be more flavorful, but they're also gonna be tougher. So you have to. That's why you wouldn't cook a thigh the same way you would a breast. You're not just gonna throw it in the pan and like sear it because it's gonna be really tough.
Oh.
These kind of cuts, cuts of the animal
Mhm.
are usually better when you like slow braise them or put them in a stew at a
Oh.
low temperature.
Oh.
Alright, so I'm just gonna scrape. See, I'm just scraping like that, and I'm making sure I'm removing the cartilage pieces as well too. That's what I'm feeling for, the pieces of cartilage. Those are stuff if you bite into it. Hi, Tony. Just love the chicken.
It's like, what are we eating?
Yeah, so I'm gonna remove all this extra, like, not all of it, because I still want some of that flavor, but I don't want all of it.
You can only braise meat, or can you braise other things?
So you can braise anything. So really, braising is the like a term, and it means to cook at a lower temperature for a longer period of time. So you can braise garlic, like it's like anything at a low temperature, really. So I braise fennel all the time. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's just to cook at a low temperature in a flavorful liquid, but it works really well for tough cuts of meat. So that's why you like, so like the thighs of like the cows, like cow legs and stuff like that, shanks, all that stuff, they'll be braised. It's also good like for bone-in pieces of meat, like the shanks and stuff, because then you can slowly extract some of the flavor from the bones as well.
Okay. Okay. So what ideal cuts would you really good for the braising though, like as far as any meat? Or any animal we'll say.
Usually okay, so for like a cow, any parts that are like the legs, like that move a lot, like those are best for braising because they are tougher. So like veal and stuff, like veal, that's tender meat, like because it's sad, but like the farmers sometimes they'll tie the calves to like a pole or whatever, so they can't move around, so that their meat won't be be tough, and it'll stay tender. So, so basically, braising is for any tough cut of meat, pretty much, or anything that you want to cook slowly to develop more flavor in it.
And what exactly is braising?
So I just answered that.
You did?
Braising, yeah. Braising
My
is
bad.
like the definition is to cook at a low temperature in a flavorful liquid.
Okay, gotcha.
So, like, you can take these and just bake them. You know, that'll be baked chicken. But I'm gonna put them in the, what the hell you call that? Dutch oven. Yeah, I would have just use a hotel pan to work. I put it in there, and then I'm gonna cover it like 3/4 way with liquid. And then you can use any kind of liquid if you want to, like chicken stock, vegetable stock, whatever.
That's a good knife.
Now I got this song stuck in my head. Oh yeah. So that's good. Oh, one more. That's it. And then we will season season them and prepare our vegetables for it. So basically what we're gonna do, because I don't have a chicken stock, so what I'm doing is a one pot like dinner. Like everything is gonna go in one. Like, you know, I'm not making the stock earlier. I'm gonna heavily season the liquid that I'm cooking the chicken in. And you're gonna want to season it more than you think you would, because it's not all gonna get absorbed. Like some of it's gonna go to the carrots and stuff. Oh, we can if we want to.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to put our chicken. Let's see how many can we fit, because I don't want to overload it. So maybe just 4 each. I think. Yeah, we'll just put the other 2 each, because we have to leave space for our vegetables as well. We're gonna season it, so got a bunch of seasonings. I mean, you can do whatever you like. Season it.
And does it matter what type of salt you use? I see you're using
I use sea salt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean that's best for your health.
Okay.
I mean, because iodized salt is processed salt, so there's no nutrients in that. Like the iodized, like the table salt that you get, absolute garbage. So I got some onion powder. Whatever. I'm gonna add fresh onions to it. Also, I got a couple of bay leaves, like 3 each or so, something like that. Again, your spices are your spices. Like, I'm gonna put some cayenne, but if you don't like cayenne, if you don't like spice, don't do it. Let's say I have some celery seed. And this is just my mix.
Ooh, that celery seed smells good. I just got a whiff of it.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like,
that smells good.
gotta use.
Never
like,
used that spice before.
I mean, it's just the seeds from the celery, but it has flavor in it. So this is my blend of like dried herbs. Like whenever I buy like parsley or whatever, if I don't use the whole thing right away, I leave it on my counter till it dries out, and then I put it in here. And it's got rosemary, basil, thyme, some cilantro in there. I'm gonna put some liquid smoke because I like that smoky flavor that it gives, as if you put it on the grill. What else do I have? I don't feel like putting any of that or that either. So we're not going to. Okay, so now we're going to prep our vegetables. So I have, the best way to store your greenery, if you have lettuce or anything like that, is to cut the very bottoms off, like a sliver, and store it in water. And that'll keep it fresh. What the hell?
For about how long?
I mean, you're going to have to keep changing the water, but it'll keep it fresher for longer. Like,
Now, would you set that in the refrigerator?
yeah,
like
yeah.
that? Oh.
Yeah, I said it could be like that.
Okay.
So I have celery, but you don't want to cut them too small. So you kind of want to cut them like an inch and a half or so, because you don't want them to cook too fast. You don't want them to be like mush or whatever. You can eat them if you want to. Usually I give them to Chanel. That's her snack.
Oh, okay.
It's usually part of her dinner, except for the onions. But so what I'm doing is basically I'm cutting up Mirepoix. So Mirepoix is French. It means like cut up vegetables basically. It's basically like your base for all your stuff. So different places have different mirepoix. Like the southern mirepoix is like they have bell peppers instead of carrots. Like they call it like and then like Hispanic one they call it sofrito. They have different stuff.
Okay.
They'll add garlic in their mirepoix and stuff. But basically, it's each culture's starter, like their base, like whatever their area was abundant in, you know, during their settlers' times or whatever the native times. That's what they always would use or whatever, and that's their mirepoix. So a French mirepoix is onion, celery, and carrot. And so that basically goes in everything. And so again, I'm going to cut them kind of relatively big. Like a large dice, basically. Oh no. And I'm going to split it up between the two. And so there is a ratio for the mirepoix. It's usually 50% onions, 25% celery and carrot. But again, it's your own food. If you don't like onions, don't put it. Simple as that. But it is really flavorful. It does add all the flavor. Like people that tell me that they don't like vegetables, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me, because have you ever taken a piece of chicken and just thrown it in the pan with just oil and was like, oh, this is delicious? I have not.
Right.
That's gonna be gross. You have to put some kind of vegetable or plant or leaf or something on it. It's gotta taste like something. So you're a liar.
Oh, you don't want a vegetable that you can actually see.
Yeah, there's people like that, and they're called immature. So we don't like.
Oh, there's a name for them.
Yeah, grow up. All right, so we have our carrot as well. I'm gonna peel this guy real fast. You can always save like the scraps, the peels for stock. That's usually what I do.
For what?
For stock.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to use like the good part of the carrots for your stock, you know. It's all gonna go in the garbage.
After it's done, anyway.
Pretty much. After that point, there's like we try to make no waste in the kitchen, you know. But after like certain things, you know.
Yeah.
Like I give the bones to my dog, but and then again, same thing. You're gonna want to do like a large dice. Be careful when you're cutting carrots because they move. They're tough to cut sometimes. A good substitution for carrots is a parsnip. Have you ever seen a parsnip?
No.
It's basically a
I've heard of it from the cartoon.
What cartoon?
Is it Bugs Bunny? One of them used to eat parsnip.
Oh yeah, he would eat carrots though, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean the term. I've
yeah.
never heard of the vegetable before.
It's basically a white carrot. It's a little bit sweeter. What else we're gonna put in there? We can put some parsley stems, if I can get it out of the thing. Oh, it's still stuck together. That's why I can't pull only a few. That's alright. That's my friend Broccoli Rob. I used to think it was R-O-B. So I would, on the labels, I would write Broccoli Rob, and they're like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, a lot of things. Can you be more specific?
Right.
What are you talking about right now, in this very moment? So yeah, I'm just gonna chop up a little bit of fresh parsley. And I'm gonna add that. Okay. You can always pick that up later. And a couple slices of lemon. So I want my chicken to be lemony. A couple slices of lemon. I'm going to squeeze some directly on there as well. And I'm going to put the rest in my water.
Yeah. We're talking about multi-use here.
Two last things I'm gonna add a little bit of tomato.
Now, won't the tomatoes cook really, really fast?
Yeah, they'll cook really fast, but they're mostly water, so
Okay.
it's gonna leach the water and add more. It's because I'm trying to recreate a stock in here. So a normal stock has tomato paste in it, so I'm just trying to recreate a stock. And so I'm gonna add a couple pieces of tomato. then this is a Fresno chili. That's Benny.
Now, what kind of chili is that?
Fresno.
And what's a Fresno chili? Is it spicy or is it just for flavor?
Well, you can smell it. Usually you can tell how spicy something is by how it smells. And it doesn't have like too much of a spicy smell. It's a little sweet.
Yeah, it has. I can smell a little bit of the spice.
Yeah, but it's a little spicy, so I'm not gonna put that many seeds in there. So, but I'm only gonna put just a little bit. Okay.
I love the waste pepper smell.
All right. So then the last thing we're gonna add is some fresh garlic. Just crush it up a little bit. Makes it easier to peel it.
Oh wow!
Oh, see,
You
here
hit
she
it with
goes.
that, and it just. You're like, okay, I'm done.
So yeah, just a rough chop, nothing crazy. Garlic goes in everything. I don't know what anybody else told you.
Hallelujah.
Garlic goes in everything. So a little bit of garlic. Okay. And then watch her. I should have turned. Okay, so if you want the skin crispy, flip it over, and then just kind of mush everything around.
Okay.
So if you want the skin to be crispy, okay, which I do, I like crispy skin, and cover it about 3/4 of the way. Like you need the skin exposed for it to be crispy, for it to get crisped up. Okay. Might need to get some more water. Oh, no,
You're
it's
pretty
all right.
good.
I think we're all right.
Good measurement, girl.
Okay, and then I'm gonna add some cooking wine to it, a little white wine.
Now, what's the purpose of adding the wine
A
to
little
it?
more flavor, you
Just
know.
flavor. Okay.
Yeah, I mean in a regular stock we'll add, wine and stuff to it. So
And you can add. It doesn't have to be cooking wine. It can be.
I mean you can add any kind of wine, but we usually use
Yeah.
the box wine.
Okay. And what's that you're adding?
Just some black pepper.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, if you don't have all of these vegetables, that's fine. I also have bouillon, the powdered, if you want to use that, that's also good too. Anything that you have in your pantry, basically, to season your food. Okay, in the oven we go.
Now, when you add your bouillon, say, to a dish, do you just add it like a seasoning?
No, I mean, I would have added it to this because it's a liquid.
Okay.
Like, I got like a liquid thing going on.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have just, if I was just making chicken breast, I wouldn't have just been like, oh yeah, let me add some bouillon to it. I guess you could. It's just a bunch of herbs and stuff, no? Pretty much. Because it's cooking in the liquid, so it's like the liquid has to get hot first, and then the potato, then the chicken. So you'll be alright if you leave it at like 350 or something like that. You'll be alright. But okay, so while we wait, we will prepare our milk and cream for our potatoes. So if you're like super rich, you can get milk and heavy cream and butter if you're balling like that. But if you're balling on a budget and you can only afford 2 of the 3, that's cool. So if you got cream and it's too thick, add some water. If you got milk and it's too thin, just let it simmer on the stove for a little bit. It's okay.
Oh.
Then you have the same thing, right? Because cream is just, you know, all the fat that rolls to the top, and then this is kind of what's left. So, I don't know, half a gallon. I mean, okay, so it depends on how many potatoes you got, right? So I'm gonna start with this much milk and like probably half a pound of butter, and if I need to melt more, I can. Yeah. So this is just the.
And you're gonna mix them together.
Yeah, I'm gonna heat them. I'm gonna melt the butter and then heat up the milk. I mean, once you take your potatoes out, you don't want to add cold liquid and cold butter because you're gonna cool it down right away, right? And it's not going to homogenize properly. So you want to have everything hot at the same time. And then in the restaurant, when we're making it, when we're preparing it for dinner service or whatever, we don't add all of the liquid right away. We'll add maybe like 85% to it, because then if I make the product 100% right now, later on when I try to serve it to you, how am I gonna do that? It's gonna be overheated. It's gonna be too, because I have to add something to it to heat it up, right? To be able to heat it up, so I gotta add some more liquid. So then if I do that, it's gonna be too thin and it's gonna mess it up. Now we have our broccoli rabe. Broccoli rabe is a cruciferous vegetable. It's in the broccoli family, along with cauliflower, collard greens. Basically any vegetable like where their flowers grow in a cross pattern. So it's like one in like north, south, east, west. That's how their flowers grow like that. So that's why it's called a cruciferous vegetable. Very good for cancer.
Mm.
So these are very simple. I'm just going to, the big ones I'm going to cut a little bit in half probably. And I'm going to, any leaves like this, I'm just going to pull those off. It's very simple. I love broccoli rabe grilled. Absolutely one of my favorite ways to eat it. But I'm a big fan of broccoli, so very big fan of broccoli. See, it almost looks like a little collard green.
Collard green, yeah.
Oh, fun fact about potatoes. They're not related to sweet potatoes.
What?
I know!
They're not?
No, they're not. That's because potatoes are tubers, and sweet potatoes are technically the root. Minor things will separate people. Separate vegetables. Because I say we're related. You know?
Right, yeah.
Like
right, that's
people.
what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Very minor differences.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. I would have thought they were part of the same family.
Me too. Potatoes are really easy to grow. They're actually one of the top 5 vegetables grown worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
The other 4 are corn, rice, sugar, and wheat.
Oh.
Yeah. There's over 5,000 types of potatoes.
What?
180 wild ones. But they're bitter, so you don't eat those.
Yeah.
Yep, over
What's the
5,000
purpose?
types. Well, that's how they got these. Like, well, not these, but the ones that we eat now. Because they took, the wild ones and cultivated them into something that we can eat.
Oh.
And now there's over 5,000 types.
Different types.
Yeah. The first potato came from, Peru, Bolivia area.
Mm-hmm.
And it was brought to Europe by the Spaniards. Okay, so we clean up our thing here. The more you know. And then I like it. So. Alright.
Okay.
So, very simple. I'm not big. Wow.
That was good, Ed.
I'm strong.
Yeah, you are.
That's why I got all my paper everywhere. Alright, so.
And what kind of oil is that?
Just regular. This is olive oil, cooking olive oil. Very simple. I'm just gonna do oil, salt. I'm gonna toss a little bit so the grinds underneath get some. Right. We're gonna put my pepper. Pepper and a little bit of lemon juice, and that's it. Very simple.
Now I noticed that you used a different type of salt. Does it matter?
Oh, well, on that one, I used the cheaper one because I'm not going to use the skins. So,
Okay.
basically just going to waste it.
Okay.
Hello? Oh. Just some lemon juice. If you don't keep an eye on your milk and your cream, it will boil over. So pay attention to it. Okay, lemon. And that's it. We're gonna throw these in the oven after we pull out our other stuff because it's not gonna take that long. We're just gonna set these to the side.
Potatoes.
All right, so now it kind of sucks this part if you have sensitive hands, you know. So use a towel, but you have to scrape all of the inside out.
Oh boy! Now, do you find it easier to do it this way versus just cutting the skin off before sticking them in the oven?
Well, like if you do that, and then you bake them, the outside is going to be like still a crust.
That's right.
Like it's still going to be a crust even though you remove the skin. Like you still have to remove that crusty part because it's still going to be hard.
And that'll be harder to do
Yeah.
with little pieces of potato.
I mean, you can boil them potatoes. You can totally. Like I've made potatoes that way too. I prefer them this way because, for one, when you cook something in water, you lose like a lot of the flavor and the nutrients into the water through osmosis, right?
Right.
And then, two, you're adding more moisture to the potato. It's already 75-80% water, so that means I'm gonna add less cream and butter, and that's where all the deliciousness is, right? So like that's why I'm baking it, because I mean it's still probably like 70% water, but you know it's a lot drier than it would be if I boiled the potatoes, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I prefer to bake them. But if you wanted to boil them, that's fine. Just you can remove the skins and then boil them in water.
I have never ever done potatoes like that.
What? Boil them?
No, stick them in the oven. And
Oh.
I've always cut them up and boiled them.
Oh, cold water first, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Start with cold water.
Interesting.
Because if you start with hot water, it's going to cook on the outside first before it starts to cook on the inside.
Okay.
And then by the time it's cooked all the way in the middle, the outside will be really glutinous and gummy and
Yeah.
not very good.
That's cool.
Okay. Yeah, so that's why you start with cold water.
That's a great idea. Just stick them in the oven.
I mean, this is good too. Like if you like potato skins, you have some leftover mash. You know, you could. I mean, this is not garbage. It's totally edible. That's why I season the outside a little bit too, because I'm gonna eat them still. Like
I
it's
like
not for
potato
this.
skin.
Yeah, that's low key where all the nutrients are.
And the skin.
In the skin. Most things, that's where all the nutrients are.
And the part we don't eat.
Yeah.
Or we don't practice to eat.
Yeah.
Practice eating.
Like strawberries, like most of the nutrients are in the green part that we cut off.
Really?
I mean, there's still nutrients in, but like you know,
But there's more in that part.
just assume that there's a lot of nutrients in it if it's green.
Yeah.
Just assume that.
Yeah.
Nice cooked.
Really quick question.
Yeah.
So the potato skins, you know how it's commonplace if you want to use all parts of whatever vegetable or fruit that you use, they dry it and grind it and use it as a seasoning. Can you do that with potato skin too? Especially if you
I don't
add a
think
little
so.
salt to them.
I mean, as a seasoning,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I mean, I never have used potato skins as a seasoning. I mean, I don't see why not. I wouldn't use it so much as a seasoning as I would use it then if you're gonna try to like powder it and dry it out. I would use it instead of like flour or breadcrumbs or something like that, because it's starchy.
Okay.
It's not gonna add much flavor to whatever you're adding.
Right.
I mean,
So using it in that capacity to cook with might be a better.
yeah, if I was trying to use the whole thing,
Right.
that's what I would probably do.
Like a flour.
Yeah, like I would.
That's so cool.
I would dehydrate it
Mhm.
and then grind it up and turn it into a powder.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. I never done it before, so I mean that's all just off the top.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, I think it would work.
I think that would be kind of.
I think it would work really well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to be alright. Starting to cool down a little bit. I can handle them. But yeah,
They're cooling down.
a little bit. They've been out for a second. They're a little manageable. But you kind of want to work fast too, because you don't want them to cool down too much.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want too much steam and stuff to escape. I worked at one place. We made so many mashed potatoes. We had a pot. It was like huge, like half the size of myself, and we used like a powered thing, a power drill type of thing, and we just like had a big ass paddle attachment to it. Huge. Like it was like 20 gallons of potatoes at a time. Ridiculous.
To make mashed potatoes. Oh wow.
And I probably like sometimes we'd still run out in the middle, like towards the end of the service, and be like, "Fuck, somebody's downstairs boiling potatoes on the fly."
Oh wow.
It's fun.
Potatoes are pretty popular. Now, potatoes are part of the vegetable family or the fruit family.
No, it's not fruit.
It's
It's a tuber technically.
tuber.
So it's in like the root and stuff family. Cause let's see, I don't see any, but yeah, I don't see any, but they have eyes. Let me. I don't know what the other potato had. But so they have on them the little spots, and they're called eyes,
Mhm.
and that's kind of where they start to grow from. The like, if you leave, you ever seen a potato you left in the corner for too long? and
Yeah,
start
that
to
little
grow?
white thing that starts
Yeah.
to come out of it. That's the root, right?
Well, that's where the plant starts to grow from. So if you took that and put it in some dirt,
Mm-hmm.
a whole bunch of, and just like kept watering it, a whole bunch of potatoes are gonna pop up. Like, cause that from all those eyes,
Mhm.
all of the green part and the flowers, that's where that will grow. And then I think of it as like a mushroom type of thing. It's because if you take a piece of a mushroom and you just grind it up into spores and spread it out, it'll grow. So you can take one potato and make a whole bunch
Oh wow.
of potatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where all you really need is one, because there's no potato seeds really.
That is true.
I mean,
Okay.
I think if you let it go to flour, you might
Mm-hmm.
get some, but most people, I mean, most time I done it, I just took a potato and just let it sit until the eyes grew. All right, so
Interesting. I love potatoes. I could eat them every day.
so many different ways to eat them too.
Mhm.
All right, so I have some of the potatoes, okay, and I'm going to add some liquid. You don't want to add all of it at once, right? Because you might add too much. So I'm gonna add a little bit, and when I mix it, you have to be careful, because if you mix it too much, like too fast and all that stuff, you'll turn it into like a paste. Now, ideally, I would have a ricer, but I don't have one. So I'm just gonna.
What's the purpose of a ricer?
It's like a miller, basically. It'll, you put it in and it turns all the potatoes, basically like shreds it, like shredded
okay.
cheese, you know?
Okay, gotcha.
hands. It's the best part. All right. Now we taste it. Let's see if we need more. More butter. Now, the consistency is your prerogative. You know, do you like your potatoes dry? You like them? That's the thing about cooking
Like
for yourself.
creamy or chunky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not gonna get it as smooth as I would like because I don't have a ricer, right? And I didn't want to like sit here and mash it by hand. But you know, it'll still be you. Alright, I'm gonna finish
Oh, that was quick.
what? The potatoes?
Mm-hmm. I'd still be mashing. And while you were gone.
And while you were gone, I finished the potatoes and the broccolinis are ready. Beautiful.
Nice.
Set it down right there. Beautiful. And our chicken is just about ready too, but I need another towel to get it out. I wish I was taller. I wish I was taller. I wish I was a baller. I wish I had a girl I would call her. Alright, so at this point we have two options. We can serve it as is, or we can take out. Can you pass me that pot behind you, please? And I really had a string somewhere. Yeah. Thank you. So we can either serve it as is, or we can like strain out some of this liquid and turn it into a gravy, which is what I'm going to do. And then I'll throw this back in the oven for while I make the gravy for it, and that'll make the rest of the skin even more crispier. Take a good decent amount of the liquid out. Okay. Don't burn yourself. Okay, I'll do the same thing over here. If you don't want to do this step and you just want to eat the chicken, that's fine. You can save the liquid for something else. If you put it in the refrigerator, it will separate. The fat will rise to the top, and you can remove that if you want to.
What would you use the gravy for outside of making a gravy?
What do you mean?
I mean, what would you use the liquid for outside of making a gravy?
I mean, anything.
something
It's
later?
basically it's chicken stock now.
Okay.
So make a soup.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
whatever you want to use.
Okay.
Make a pasta sauce or whatever.
Mm.
Get off lemon. So I'm gonna just throw this back in for like. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in and I'm gonna shut it off. So, and the time it takes me to just
Make your gravy.
yeah. I'll show it on this camera, but you can already see that. Maybe can you see that the fat is already starting to go to the top, and you can just use your ladle like like that to go around it and skim it off. Another way to do it is to put an ice cube in here and cool this down and just go around it, and the fat will cool down and stick to that, and you can just wipe it off. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a little bit, try and get some of the fat off. And then I'm going to create a roux, which is flour and butter, and use that to thicken this up. So you have our pot. We're going to add some butter, melt that. Now, there's different stages of a roux. A roux is like when you cook the flour, right? And there's a light golden one, and then as it gets darker, the more flavor it has, but the less power it has. So it basically is, a flour is going to turn it into, it's going to thicken it, like it's a thickening agent, right, when you add the flour. So the lighter it is, the more thickening power it has, but the less nutty flavor it has. So, but and then like the darker it gets, the more color it's gonna add to your sauce later on. So add flour.
The thickness is based on the color of the meat.
Yeah, like
After the thickening of whatever it is you're trying to do.
yep. So you add your butter, and then you add your flour to your butter. I don't want it to be too powerful because I only have a little bit of salt. But you do need to cook it at least a little bit to cook out the raw flour taste.
Show us the color that would be ideal for cooking out the floury taste, right?
Well, yeah. So as soon as it starts to turn like a little brown, that's inside. Yeah.
Okay.
And it starts to smell a little bit nutty. So it's like a lighter brown, and the longer I leave it on the stove, the more it's getting brown. You can see it already, it's getting a lot darker. So now I'm gonna slowly. And you want to add it slowly because if you add it all at once, it's gonna be harder to get rid of any chunks of flour. Yeah, any lumps of flour that you have. Now we can let this come to, you just gotta let it come to another simmer. And it might get thicker. It's gonna get thicker as it cooks. So you just gotta keep an eye on it. That's why I only added a little bit of the liquid, because if I can add more later. Like, cause I know it's gonna get thicker. Like, you can tell that it's getting thicker because it's starting to be nappe. Nappe is when you can take the back of a spoon. Nappe is when your sauce would coat the back of a spoon like that, and it'll stay. That's called nappe.
Nappe. Right. You can always fancy words in the kitchen.
Right, so it's starting to be nice and thick. And I'm gonna turn it down my flame a little bit and just let it simmer. Like, you can also tell how thick it is based off of the bubbles. Right. So I'm just gonna let it simmer for a few seconds, and then I'm gonna taste it. So lumpy. I don't have no topping.
You got more You got more
No, they're lumpy because I don't have a fucking ricer. Do you have one at your house?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so I don't feel bad.
No. You know what I thought you were talking about when you say ricer? I thought you were talking about like one of those
Steamer?
rice steamers. I don't know what a ricer is. But I'm gonna learn today.
see, have those
Ooh,
that
that looks
listed.
delicious.
So, just take a nice. I promise I'll have a ricer for the next potato video. But yeah, just some potato.
They came out good though.
I was gonna say they look amazing.
I mean, they're gonna taste alright, but I just don't know. Now you can have the vegetables if you want to. It's up to you. And then just a couple bits of broccolini, right? Very easy, very fast. And a parsley, because you know, you can add whatever you want to your potatoes. You know, you can add your cheese and all that stuff. But yeah,
Ooh.
simple dinner that you can't see. I would have forgot about the gravy. And then lastly, the gravy. Bon appetit. Thanks for watching.
Beautiful. Skin is super crispy. Chicken super moist.
Like the chicken.
Chicken.
Very tender
Chicken
too.
hot.
Mm-hmm.